joined now by Craig Gilbert, our Washington Bureau Chief, who is in New Hampshire. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning.
Let's talk about the results from last night. Now, the winners on both sides were who the polls predicted and we expected, but what did the margins say? Because those are pretty big gaps for both Trump and Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, really emphatic victories across all sorts of demographic lines and political lines. For the Republicans, they tell you that, Trump voters do show up. I mean, we were doubting that after the Iowa caucuses. And they also tell you how fragmented the rest of the field is. The anti-Trump vote, however big it is scattered in every direction. And so people are having trouble emerging as the Trump alternative. On the Democratic side, obviously this is a great state tailor-made for Bernie Sanders, but the size of the victory, was embarrassing for Hillary Clinton and concerning for Hillary Clinton. And even beyond sort of the demographics of New Hampshire, I think it sends a signal that she, has to find a way to do better with Bernie Sanders' natural constituencies, which are liberal voters and young voters.
All right, so last week at this time after Iowa, we were talking about Marco Rubio doing so well. Today, the story on the Republican side is John Kasich, who did at a very strong second place. What does he have to do now to sort of consolidate some support or give himself a path moving forward?
Yeah, he's in a tough spot because he's got a lot of competition for establishment support, for moderate support. The moderates are not the biggest voice in the Republican Party this year. He's also moving to more conservative states. He's got to remind conservative voters that he has been a conservative. He was a conservative in Congress. He was a conservative by and large as a governor of Ohio, and he can't just sort of run against the conservative wing of the party. He has to remind people about his record, but he also has to hope that some other things fall into place. He's got to hope that people start dropping out. Christie and other candidates start dropping out to make room for him.
Yeah, so after the Republican debate over the weekend, there was a lot of chatter and talk about Marco Rubio versus Christie. Was that attack so good by Christie that it may end up taking two candidates out?
It could be. I mean, we're going to find out if Marco Rubio can come back and has the ability to sort of get back up off the canvas. It was a devastating debate for him, and it clearly hurt him a lot at the end. He just kind of fell off the table. He's got a chance to resurrect because he is a talented politician and because this is a flawed field. It's a field where the support is scattered. Nobody else has sort of claimed that space definitively in the party. He still has a chance to do that, in part because of the limitations of the other candidates.
Yeah, but did that hurt Christie, do you think, at all? Because in a case like this, you may believe his attack and think Rubio's not great, but then you can go to Kasich or Bush or any of the other choices.
Yeah, I don't know if it hurt him. I don't think it helped him. I mean, he wasn't really doing that well to begin with, so we don't have a lot of evidence that his own support, decreased because of the attack. But it does certainly look like it didn't help him very much. He's a feisty guy. I mean, Donald Trump is a feisty guy too, and maybe there's room for only one combative, kind of outrageous personality in the race.
All right, and lastly, let's take a look ahead at South Carolina, which is coming up for both sides of the ticket. But what do you expect out of that? Historically, that's been a really decisive kind of state to really thin the field, and it's often a very negative, personal attack kind of state. What should we be watching for?
Well, we haven't talked about Ted Cruz yet, the winner of the Iowa caucuses, who just did not have a good base of support in New Hampshire because New Hampshire is a more secular, more moderate state. But he's got a great shot in South Carolina. He's got to cut into Donald Trump's support there. But South Carolina should be a much better state for him than New Hampshire, and I think you're going to see the Republican race intensify. The stakes are getting higher and higher, and the urgency is there for these candidates. The question is, up until now, all the attacks have been among other candidates who are competing with Donald Trump, but not against Donald Trump, and that could start to change in South Carolina. On the Democratic side, I think a much different set of demographics that are much better for Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders can't compete in states like South Carolina unless he can really significantly cut into the African-American vote, which is a big share of the Democratic electorate there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Craig. You can follow his coverage at jsonline.com. Thanks.